Welcome to Fort Vancouver's Fur Store, as in storehouse. This is where the furs came at the end of the trapping season from our 24 fur trading posts. And the furs would arrive here in these bundles that you see. Each bundle represents 90 pounds of mixed furs. And in order to get these bundles, you can see across the way here we have a scale. We would stack mixed furs on one side, weights on the other, until we would balance out 90 pounds of mixed furs. Then we'll transfer that stack of mixed furs to the bottom of our screw press that you see here. Furs go down at the bottom. We wrap them in either deerskin or bearskin. Operator will use that wooden handle to screw it down to compress it until we get a very dense 90-pound bundle of mixed furs. Again, outer coverings, typically deerskin or bearskin. And when those coverings arrived in Europe, they too had a purpose and a value. Many times they were turned into gloves or luggage. Now, as impressive as this room is, it's only a postage stamp representation of the actual fur store, which went from that wall to the end of the building, 2 stories high, packed with furs. So today we have approximately 500 to 600 animal pelts on display, but in 1843, which was a pretty typical year for the Hudson Bay Company, we shipped to Europe over 61,000 animal pelts, a third of which would have been the highly prized beaver. Nothing was more valuable than beaver during this time period because of its use for making beaver felt hats. And that shipment in today's money would be valued somewhere between $4 and $8 million. So you understand why the Hudson Bay Company was involved with the trading and marketing of furs. Many times visitors to our fur store here at Fort Vancouver will inquire about my outfit. I represent a French-Canadian voyageur, or a boatman, and my job was to make sure that people and goods got from one location to the other. This was especially true at the end of the trapping season, when we wanted to make sure all these fur bundles found their way back here from our 24 fur trading posts to Fort Vancouver. Now, what I would do is I would paddle an oversized canoe. It was about 30 to 35 feet long, had a flat bottom. There were 6 paddlers like myself. We had a steersman in the rear and a bowsman in the front, and we could carry about 1.5 to 2 tons of furs in the configuration of our 90-pound bundles of fur. Now, at the end of the trapping season, normally late May, early June, we would start arriving here from the various trapping areas, and we would about 5 or 6 miles upriver, stop our canoes, or bateaus as we refer to them, jump out and into the icy waters of the Columbia, taking our first baths in months. Typically, people here on the frontier took a full bath once or twice a year. Then, after that, we would put on our most colorful sashes, most colorful garters, and our finest hats. Now, you know about the idea that the furs, the beaver in particular, was used to make beaver felt hats for fashionable gentlemen over in Europe for over 300 years. And right now, the year is 1845, so the current style is a top hat. I too am wearing a top hat, but mine is not a beaver felt top hat. As a lowly employee way out here in the middle of nowhere, I could not afford such a luxury. But give me credit, I've made my wool felt hat pretty special with the ribbons and the feathers and the braiding, and so I look pretty dapper if I do say so myself. Around my neck I have an amulet bag. Amulet's just a fancy word for a good luck charm. So inside here it might be a lock of my sweetheart's hair. It might be a coin to remind me of my home country. Photography came on the scene in 1839. This is 1845. It hasn't reached us yet. So the closest thing I would have to a picture of my home country would be a coin impressed with an image from that home country. So that represents me. I am a French-Canadian voyageur.